Hello and welcome to another Indie Game Spotlight. Today, Dean and I are really thrilled to be testing his mettle as he joins us to discuss Alloyed RPG. We have with us Steve Lorch, developer and editor-in-chief. Welcome to Indie Game Spotlight, Steve.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's lovely to see you here, and we're going to get straight into it with my favourite question, which is what inspired you to make Alloyed RPG?
Okay. Well, I'm kind of old school. You might tell by the beard. And there's a little more gray in there than it used to be. But I started my TTRPG journey back in the 80s. I guess they could call it 2E, but we called it Advanced D&D. And
Yay,
that,
that's my
that was our
favourite.
that was our thing. And like many of us, played it as a kid and then left for about 30 years or so, and ended up coming back to 5E after a long hiatus. And and I found a group and I was like, I want to get back into it again. And it just didn't have the same um,
Yeah.
feel for me. And I'm a game developer in other realms too. So I've developed a few board games. You wouldn't have heard of them. They're not out there published, um, but one of the things that I analyzed a lot of was the mechanics of, well, why was I not having the same, experience that I had when I was a kid? And I chalked it up to two things. The one was that it felt like there wasn't a lethality to it or a risk to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the group I played with, it was like, well, everybody gets healed at the end. So, after about 3 sessions of that, it was just sort of like, well, there's really no risk. And then it's like, okay, so you killed the dragon. You weren't going to die anyway. What's the big deal? Like, so there wasn't that element. Like, as a kid, I always had a second or third character sheet with me, knowing that probably you're not going to make it out alive, and that was the deal. So don't get too attached, whatever. And this, it seemed like it was almost impossible to die. And so, and I realized that when you do that, it takes a lot of the fun out of it because there's no real victory if there is no real risk, involved. So that was
It,
the
it
one thing.
removes it removes the risk and reward, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does. And at least, and that might be fine for some people, but for me, it just wasn't clicking. And then the other thing was that it was very player centric. And grew up in the land of the tyrannical DM. So I'm not condoning any of that. But uh, you know, growing up, it was more like DM centric, and it gave the DM a little more, I don't want to say power, but a little more flexibility at the table. And it seemed like, for me, who's kind of one of these people that tends to gravitate to the DM side, I was looking at it going, this is going to be impossible. Like, there's no way I can remember all six of y'all's special little things, and I've got this or that. I was like, it needed to be more DM centric. So, and it was also just it was a lot of mathiness. And so I talked to some of my buddies, and I was like, are you kind of finding the same thing? And they're like, yeah. And I said, well, let's start writing something that we want to play. Who says we have to play what's out there? Let's go ahead and start. And so that sent me on this quest to find if there were some simpler mechanics, some people that were doing things particularly well. So I've got some props with me, and one of
Ooh.
them is this right here, which is ICRPG. Can you see that? Okay.
Yeah, we
Um,
can see that.
Okay, so by Runehammer, and basically it was a very simple way to do some mechanics. And so I started a YouTube channel that originally started out. It was called ICRPG Behind the DM Screen, and it was
Oh,
going.
cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. What the gist of it was, I was going to chronicle my journey from not knowing anything about this game to becoming a DM and all the steps along the way. And so what ended up happening was one of my now favorite analogies. Have you guys ever heard of the ship of Theseus?
Yes.
Okay. So what was happening was, as I was making these videos, because I'm a game developer myself, I found that I was doing all of these house modifications, so I was like, this is what the rules say on this, and this is how I would play it at the table. Well, it started becoming to the point where it was that ship of Theseus. At what point is it not the same game anymore? And so I didn't want to be disingenuous to the audience, and I finally said, I've got so many modifications to this and so many house rules that I don't think that I'm doing it justice to call it the same game. And so so we said we're going to start from scratch on our own with it, and so hence Alloyed RPG. So the reason we call it Alloyed is because it is this alloy of all these different games that we've taken pieces and then added our own stuff and fused things together, and that's kind of where we ended up with that. Of course, once I did that, there was this huge backlash. I lost a bunch of subscribers. There were people mad. They're like, you suckered us into this ICRPG channel, and now flip the script. But that's been a couple of years now, and so we're back, where it's just the people that come to us know that we're Alloyed RPG, so yeah.
I think that's a lovely sort of birth of your game sort of story, and I think it's actually brave. It is brave to go, hang on a minute, this isn't quite going in the direction I expected it to. I'm going to stop and change direction. That is absolutely the right thing to do, and I think that's incredible. And I love how you came up with the name off how you actually went ahead with that. That's quite exciting.
Well, I appreciate it.
So I've got my other favorite question. I have a lot of favorite questions, and that is, if I was to say to you, from straightforward to crunchy, whereabouts would you end up on that scale?
Way straightforward. So that was part of the thing. When we set out to do this, and I don't know how much you've had a chance to poke around much, but all of our...
We never poke around before we interview you. So all of our questions are not led by anything we've read. It's all about reacting to what you tell us and digging deeper. It stops us from assuming something because of how we've interpreted it, you see.
I love
that's why we do it this way.
That's fantastic. Okay, so this is kind of like an elevator pitch.
Absolutely. A long one, admittedly. You keep you here forever.
A lot of floors to go down, so a lot of levels to use the speak. But anyway, so as far as the crunchiness, that was one of the things that I really wanted, something simple at the table. Particularly my strong point being board game development. I was working on that stuff for a long time. When you develop a board game, and I'm sure some of our the listeners have done so, we call it breaking the game. You break a game, so you throw it for beta testing, and people find the problems with it, and they break it, and you have to rebuild and all that kind of stuff. So that tends to not happen as much in the TTRPG space because of its sandboxiness. It's not like as rigid as a board game, right? So there are rules, but there's still sort of this floating kind of whatever. And so but I took a lot of the mechanics from board game development and basically forced it onto Allied RPG to break it, and just to keep breaking and breaking and breaking. And what we wanted was something that was really easy for the DM. Our general philosophy on the writing team is, if you make it easier on the DM, everybody has fun or better time.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, and I still use Yeah, because I'm old school. So for you newbies and youngsters, it's GM now. I know. I just can't get there. So anyway,
I
so
love the fact he thinks we're young.
I know.
yeah, yeah. There you go. So yeah, so we wanted it to be super simple. It runs on 1d20. That's it. Our basic core was if we can't do it with 120-sided die, then that's on us. We didn't want it to be that finicky. And you can run percentages with that, and you're talking about 5% on a 20-sided die. Do I really need to be so into the weeds and minutia that I need to distinguish between 87% and 86%? Probably not. So we tried to make it super simple that way. Character creation takes 5 minutes. We have people that have never played TTRPGs up and running and playing in 15 minutes. So
Nice.
the core rules are only 10 pages. That's it. So it's
10 pages of core rules. That sounds really interesting.
yeah.
It
It
does.
took 3 years to get to those 10 pages, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can get that. We've been absolutely years finishing off ours. It doesn't just happen overnight. But
Yeah.
you've just mentioned your 20-sided dice, which I love because I do love a good D20. I am a D20 fan. So what else do you use? Do you use the whole polyhedral set, or is it D20 and just others? Just one D20?
1d20. That's it. 1d20.
Ooh.
And part of that too was the appeal that you can always find a d20 that you like. You can't always find a whole set that you like. So oh man, that's just a really cool d20. So like, bring it. That's all you need at the table. So that's it. 1d20. Yep.
That's cool. You just need like a little pocket purse with a D20 in, and you're good to go anywhere.
Yep. Yeah. So the game itself, like I said, character creation is only about 5 minutes. There's no races, classes, nothing like that. You can be whatever you want. That doesn't affect the stats. And there's only 3 abilities, and those are body, mind, and spirit. That's it. So because we were really hashing things out, we said, well, when you're playing, really, you do physical things. So the body is your physical ability. You do mental things, so the mind is your mental ability, and then spirit things, including magic, is kind of your unbreakability, so to speak. And so that's it. And they only go up and down plus or minus 5. So at most on your modifier, you can do a +5, and at least you can do a -5. So it's really very, very simple. Yeah. So we like to say it's like Dungeons and Dragons without all the math. So
Yeah.
yep. So when you have an encounter in Allied RPG, it's very simple. Things are based on easy, normal, and hard actions. So an easy action you wouldn't have to roll for at all. You would just say, I want to go, whatever. I want to throw a ball. Okay, fine. That's an easy action, or we don't have to roll for that. If it's, well, I want to throw that ball and hit that door, okay, that's fine. That would be a normal action. So what you would do is you would roll against a target for that. Okay, so that action would have a target associated. So, okay, fine, you hit the door. If you want to say, I want to throw that ball, hit the door, and knock the door open, but it's a big steel door, well, then that's a hard action. And that hard action has what would have associated with it, like hit points. And the hit points basically are, we look at it this way. Target is how easy is something to hit or connect with. And hit points are how easy is it to kill or accomplish. That's it. So that's it.
That's interesting. So you're actually using hit points to adjudicate your hardness when you're actually going up against something. Yep. One of the things I don't think we talked about, and then Dean will start digging a little bit more into the mechanics, but that would be where you've got your body, mind, and spirit. You've got your 1d20, you've got body, mind, and spirit. How do you actually assign those attributes? How do you get to them? What are they, and how do you assign them out?
Sure. So basically, in the start of the game, your hit points. I always have to look at my rules myself. They're on the player sheets for cheat codes, and there's also a quick cheat sheet. But basically, you're going to start with anywhere from 10 to 14 hit points for your character. So basically, it's a 9 plus 1d20 over 4 rounded down. So that's what you would get as your starting HP.
Hang on, you just promised me no maths.
Well, in the beginning, it's not no maths. Without all,
I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing.
You gotta have something to use your fingers on anyway, but nothing bad. And then your body, mind, and spirit. So at the beginning, you have 5 ability points that you can disperse any way you want it. So if you want to do 2 on spirit and 3 on body, you can do that. Or if you want to do 1, and 3 or whatever, kind of thing. So that's how you start. And then there are ways that you gain those things or lose those things during the game.
So it actually affects, so the game affects your attributes throughout.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. And so there's like here's my little character sheet, trying to get the camera, but there's a mastery thing. So if you roll a natural 20, you get +1 on this little mastery track. If you get up to 3 on that mastery track, you can add 1 point to any ability that you want to, and then it resets to 0 on your mastery track. So you can do that.
That's clever. So you're using your crits to actually improve your character. So the crits are where you're doing something so well that it impacts how you're developing from that point on.
Correct. Yep. So it's kind of neat, and then it makes it kind of a nice little bonus when somebody rolls a nat 20, and then so that's basically it. So once you get up to 5 on either, any of the body, mind, or spirit, that's the max. But certain things you can run into, like whatever, you pick up some bad magic or something like that, and it says minus 2 of your spirit. That can happen too, so that's also what can happen during the game. Another unusual thing about our game that some people will not like, I love it, is this right here. This right here is the hit point tracker. You can see that you can use pennies on it to keep track.
Nice.
Points. Yeah. Okay, so you put a penny in the 10 spots and in the single spot, and you can keep shifting those around.
That's cool.
Yeah, and down here is going to be your starting HP, and this you can keep your character running through a long campaign or whatever. This is what kind of the base is, but once your character gets to 100 on the HP, then they start aging out, and instead of gaining HP, you lose HP.
That's clever.
Everybody gets all of their gifts and bonuses for finishing the adventure. If you've already reached 100 HP, you start deducting that, and when you go to 0, you're dead. So
you've got an old age mechanic inbuilt into the system.
Yep. Yeah. No one lives forever. That's how it goes.
In the words of my favorite band, we are only immortal for a limited time.
That's right.
There you go. Can never miss to put a nice Rush reference in. Right. So, Dean, I think you need to dig into these mechanics.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm quite taken with this already. Because it is simplicity in itself, which is great. When you're after those, you don't want a heavy game. You want something quite light, something that you can just pick up, play, and get running with. This sounds fantastic. Yeah. You said no races or classes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm guessing a bit later on we'll go into what defines the character and stuff like that. But we've talked about how you can gain attributes. You get 3 critical successes, natural 20s, and you get a +1 to an attribute. We've talked about how you can lose attributes, and I'm assuming you got certain creatures that might do draining attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's probably a lot of hazards and nasty stuff in the world that can make you lose attributes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That sounds fantastic. And how do you gain hit points?
Yes, so you can gain hit points. They're usually built into campaigns or into adventures. So a lot of times when we write, this is kind of part of the mechanics too, but we can talk about world building maybe at a different time, because that actually plays into our mechanics. Part of that world building we had to make the game easier and more fluid and more fun to play as well. So the games themselves, the adventures themselves, are based on one-shots, and we built the world to accommodate that in some pretty clever ways. And so when we're writing a one-shot adventure, there are usually spots along the way, something that somebody might find. Maybe it's some relic that gives them something, or just whatever, just different things in the adventure, story hooks that will bequeath things or take away things from people. If you see a pulsing red mage's staff, you may or may not want to grab it.
Yeah, you do. Oh, that would make picking things up really nervy.
Yeah. And we usually have a lot of that writing, a lot of gotcha moments. So
what happens? Sorry, I've just thought of something.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So just thinking about that, I love me loot and picking up those magic items, and there being a risk that they could reduce your attributes. Now, I know you said that the lowest was -5, and
right.
What happens if you hit that -5? If you've hit, is there anything that happens if, say, you do something and it would take you beyond that -5? Does that have a negative that like, would you just go, oh look, I've got me a great big staff?
Yeah. Well, so you could. We're not that mean in that regard.
Aren't you? Aren't you?
Really?
I don't believe you.
Well, grab the staff, see what happens.
He's mean GM, mean DM.
Again, there's got to be some risk, So when you're at -5, what you have to remember is that goes against your target roll to hit something, whether it's through body, mind, or spirit. So when you deduct 5 points on a D20 against target roll, that's a pretty bad punishment already. You're already going to struggle. So the most you're going to be able to roll is 15, in that category. And that goes against whatever the other thing, if you're fighting something, they have a body, mind, and spirit as well that goes against that. So it just makes your target rolls a whole lot harder. And especially if you are trying to use magic. So magic is your spirit ability that factors to that. So magic is super simple. The roll is you have to reach a 10. You have to roll 10 or higher to hit with magic. So if you have a -5 on your on your spirit, you're already not great.
So if I pick up that really dodgy mage's staff, right, and I'm already on -5 because I'm a bit of a loot monkey and I've gone and grabbed everything I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Is there anything nastier that can happen other than the -5, or is it just?
Yeah. There's. So there's usually when we do something in an adventure module like that, it's usually got options for the DM where it's like either this or this. You can choose, right?
Okay.
So it might normally be option 1 minus whatever on the spirit that you're already -5 at, or if that's not an option, they lose 3 HP or something like, permanent like that, whatever.
Yeah.
So we usually build those things in there so that
that's good, because if I'm getting old, right, I'm going to go and find those items.
you're just gonna go. Yeah, you're gonna be.
because that's
very fun at a table. I can tell.
that's an interesting question, which is I haven't hit that 100 hit points yet,
Right.
but I find an item that subtracts my hit points.
Mm-hmm.
My journey to 100 is reduced as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly why I was like, I'm getting old, I'm going to run around and fight them all.
You're delaying hitting that 100. So as you approach, you're like 80, 90 hit points. You'd just be picking everything up, hoping to lose hit points.
You can dive on the grenade.
Yeah.
If you want to.
It's like,
fantastic.
Yeah. Let me try this. Yeah. Oh, look, I've got younger. Jolly good.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
We found the fountain of youth there, Steve. We found it.
Hey, go ahead, go for it. You know, I don't think that's probably going to work out the way you think it will.
No, I don't think it will. I think the fact that, you know, if you're talking about something that would normally minus spirit, I think having the minus spirit at the -5 before you can start, you know, doing stuff like that would actually be so much of a negative. You'd probably end up getting your character killed anyway. Yes. However, it does sound like it sounds like if you want a little bit of a comedy go, you could have a bunch of characters who start off really close to and start running around going, I want to get young.
That's right. That's right.
You could do that.
I want to do a Fountain of Youth adventure. So
yes, I you know something. There is always room for finding the Fountain of Youth.
For sure.
Absolutely. So, can I return back to the core mechanic here, which is you roll your d20.
Have I taken you off?
Yes, you've gone into the long grass again. We're weeding our way back and trying to find the path back to what we were talking about. So, the mechanic is you roll your d20, you add the appropriate attribute, 1 of 3, body, mind, or spirit, and you're up against a target number. So, say I am trying to climb a tree.
Right.
Okay. Could you describe how I would approach that? I got a character. I want to climb a tree, get to the top.
Okay. So I would say that climbing a tree is probably not anything I would necessarily roll for. Unless it was
it's pouring with rain and the branches are really slippery.
Now I'd roll for that. Right. So I would say, okay. So that would be something like a target of 10 body, because it's a body kind of ability, right? So you would have to roll, you would have to get with your whatever the roll is plus the body needs to equal 10 or higher.
Okay. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm trying to barge down a door now.
Yep.
So it's a wooden door. It's not particularly strong, but it's still sturdy enough to potentially take a number of barges. How would I do that?
Yeah. So on that one, what I would say is the target is very easy because it's a door, right?
Yeah.
You're going to hit it. But if it's a very strong door, that door might have 30 hit points, right? And you're just using your body, right? So there would be really no, you would be doing light damage. And so I have to look at the book here, but basically, again, back to 1d20, the damage that you do is characterized by light, medium, heavy, and supreme. Okay, so light damage would be 1d20 over 10 rounded up.
You promised no maths. There's a lot of division.
I know.
No. To be fair,
all of the math.
I would have a chart. I would have a little chart with all the numbers, so the 1 to 20, and then how much damage it does.
Yeah. So actually, like I said, we do have a little cheat sheet that shows you what light, medium, but they're all like, So medium is 1d20 over 5 rounded up. Heavy is 1d20 over 2 rounded up, and supreme is just the 20, whatever it is.
Wow.
So you'd have to keep chipping away at it. And so with you, if you just were bashing your shoulder, you would be doing light damage to the door. But after a while, as your DM, I would also start inflicting equally light damage on your shoulder.
Yeah, because you're hurting yourself.
If you used an instrument, I would beef that up to maybe medium or if you're using a battering ram, it'd be heavy or supreme, that kind of thing.
Yeah, cool.
There's also one of the things in the core mechanics is the DM can always default to a percentage. So this, again, I grew up in the days of the DM, okay? When it was, you know, there's still an art to being a good DM. You know,
Absolutely, there is.
I think the game either rises or falls with, you know, whoever your DM is. You know, hopefully you have a good one that's fair and knows how to build in the excitement and all that kind of stuff, but also not be a tyrant and all that kind of thing. But at any time you can, because it is so sandboxy, you can do a percentage. So what I would do is I'd say, you know, Dean, given your character and the overall circumstance, I give you about a 25% chance of getting that done. Go ahead and roll. You know, that's totally legit to do that in those circumstances that you just can't nail down. You're just like, it's kind of a feel thing. It's the overall. Go for it. If it sounds reasonable.
That was a good bit of advice within the first edition DMG, where it talked about calculating your chance of success and allocating a percentage, because sometimes no attributes really account. It could just be a chance of something happening or succeeding. I like it. Okay, so we got a door, we got a tree dripping with rain.
As long as your tree's not trying to get to your door, you're all right.
Yeah. Does this translate? So I like the idea of the hit points. Would the hit points translate to, say, a battle of wills? You're trying to argue with someone. Yeah. Could you describe something? So you got two people. They're not using weapons, but they are using their wits to try and argue with each other and win an argument.
Right. So that would be kind of like a negotiation thing, or you're talking about psychology. So you're playing toward your mind ability, of course. And so, you know, if it's persuasive, usually on something mental, unless it involves, like, I would say, like, two high-level mages or something like that, you're probably using light damage to chip away at whatever hit point you would assign to you've won the negotiation or you've won the argument. And I don't think also that they would be very high number of HP, you know, unless you're really trying to convince somebody else, you know, I want you to betray your queen, you know, or something like that. You know what I mean? You know, then the HP might be higher, but otherwise you're probably looking at like somewhere in the 10 HP kind of range or less, you know. And it would go back and forth, you know, if they made a convincing argument, it would go the other way. And so that would kind of keep going back and forth on that 10 to win kind of thing, or 8 to win. It would kind of keep shifting until somebody crosses that line, I think.
Yeah. And of course, I guess if you say something really persuasive, the DM could upgrade your damage from light to medium for that one instance, because it's
for sure. And I would even factor in the oohs and ahs at the table. You know, if the rest of the players are like, ooh, that was a burn, you know, whatever, then I'm like, all right, you know.
I like that.
You know.
I like it too. Okay, so now we're moving on to something more interesting, which is I've got a longsword, a shield, and I'm attacking a goblin who's got a small little spear. What would that look like?
Yeah. So same thing on the what your weapons would do. What your weapons would do is give you a plus value on the attack, the target roll for that. So so if you had a sword, that sword, when you have it, okay, so per the character sheet there, you'll see that there's a gear, weapons, and magic section, and you will see that there are only 10 slots that are there. Now, this is where things are going to get interesting. So if you had your sword, for example, you would write, you know, that you have the sword, and there's a gear section of things you can choose from. We've kept that pretty simple too. There's no real reason to have a spear versus a halberd or what kind of thing. If you want a sharp, pokey thing, you get a spear. Like that kind of thing. And that will inherently have a plus value to your body target roll. So, for example, it basically, say your sword adds a +2, right? Or it adds to the damage as well. So now you're not just doing light damage because you're not just hitting with your hand. You're doing heavy damage because you're hitting someone with a sword. So that, and then the same thing for shield would basically work for your defense for the body. So the shield might add +2 to your body, kind of thing. So that little goblin, if he has got a little shield, you've got a big sword, or a battle axe or something like that, his little shield might add a +1 or something like that. But it will be item specific, and you can, of course, because that has to do with the item itself, not your inherent ability. So we just kind of want to make that provision, because just because you have a sword slung on your back doesn't mean you're using it. You shouldn't get a +2 just because you have it on your back, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. The other thing too, if you'll notice on that character, on the character sheet, so you only have 10 gear items. We do not have things like bags of holding. You can only carry what you can carry, and it's 10 items. That is it. And so if you pick up something along the way, you've got to decide to drop something else. Now here's the catch. Magic is considered gear.
Oh.
So you'll see at the top on number 1, it says staff or wand. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you decide that you want magic, and new players, new characters can start with up to 3 magic, but each one of those takes up a gear slot. So if you decide, I want, this magic, that magic, and that magic, that's 3 gear slots that it takes up, because they're stored in your staff or wand like bullets. Basically, think of your staff or wand as like a magic gun, and each different magical ability that you can do is like a bullet. And so you store that on the wand, and you can lose it.
Right. So would that be a total of 4 item slots? The wand or
No.
staff, and then the three spells? No.
So the staff or wand, you automatically get the first slot free.
Got it.
Because I'm kind.
Yeah.
Because we're so generous.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he protests too much about being kind and generous.
Yes. Am
I not merciful? Yeah. So the
DM is always merciful.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So it really makes it interesting, because if you want to be a mage that just walks around like Gandalf with a staff full of magic, you can do that. But you're not going to have a sword. You're not going to have a shield. You're not going to have a rope. That kind of thing. So
excellent. Right. So I'm attacking the goblin. Here we go. When I make an attack roll. So I roll a d20, adding my body and the bonus from the weapon. Yeah.
Yep.
And what am I trying to hit? What number?
It depends on the monster itself. So I would. So the goblin would have a target assigned to it.
And that target would be just based on how hardy or able the creature is at defending or getting out of harm's way.
Correct. Same with its hit points, and that's all in the creature compendium, that you'd have. For that creature.
And then we got defense there, max or minus +2. I take it that would modify, if for the player at least, it's baked into the creature, but for the player that would adjust your defense. So if, say, the goblin's returning, that it's attacking me, it would make a body roll.
Right.
What would be my defense? My number.
So your number, so they always have to roll against a 10.
Okay.
So that's yeah. Any enemy always has to roll against a 10
So the best I could make that is 12.
on that. But
Yeah.
there are things that you can do. A lot of the magic, for example, has modifiers that get added. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you can cast those things to give yourself, say, iron skin or that kind of thing for X number of rounds, right? So,
Okay.
So that's where that comes in. Yeah.
Fantastic. And we're jumping a little bit ahead, but it makes sense now. What does armor do then?
Yeah. Armor would add to your body defense, basically. That's what that would do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and it would make the damage that you got inflicted on a little lighter as well.
okay. So I think this is now the final mechanic. So I've hit. It's against the 10. Adjusted. I've hit. I'm now dealing damage. I've got a long sword. It's heavy damage.
Yep.
But I've got so whatever damage I roll, that's
Yep.
subtracted by the body of the creature I'm hitting.
So no. So whatever damage you roll is the damage you roll. If you hit,
Okay.
and you roll that heavy damage, that 1d20 over 10, that's what gets taken off its hit points.
Okay. So if the creature's hitting me, how does my body get factored into that calculation?
Yeah. So if it hits you, as far as like it makes the connection, so it hits the target, then it's going to do the same thing. It will roll for its damage.
Yeah.
Heavy, light, medium, whatever using, and that's your HP. So start moving your pennies down that column.
Okay. So how does I think I'm missing something here. How does armor factor in then?
So what armor does is it would raise your target. So it would make you harder to hit.
Got it. So armor kind of it increases your defense.
Yes.
Okay,
so it makes you harder to hit with a hit that does damage. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make perfect sense.
So that's the one, and then it also decreases the damage that you would take.
Right. Is that again so if I got armor, that gives me +1 to my defense. Would it also reduce the damage I take by 1 point?
Yes.
So like a
like it would reduce it, say from to like another level. So from heavy to medium. You know.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So if I'm in plate, well, give me an example. What would be the best armor? I'm assuming it's something like plate armor.
Exactly. Yeah. So plate armor would give you, say, like a +2, and it would also maybe reduce the damage attack roll by, say, 2 levels. So if it was like a if it's like a heavy damage, it would go down to light. Yeah. So
cool. Okay. Yeah. And that would be the best. But would that affect magic? So someone's casting a magic missile or something like that.
No, because so if you look at the magic that we have in the list, so that was the other thing too, is when we went through what we wanted for magic, we have a catalog of about 100. I think it is 100. And they were all things that we carefully thought of, where we wanted people to really wrestle with the choice, because they were so different and useful, like and in some ways generic, like, so why have you can talk to frogs when you can just have talk to animals, you know what I mean, like that kind of, right? Like we don't need to narrow some things down so much, and so a lot of that magic that you go through the catalog and you go, that'd be interesting, and usually, just so you know too, the way that we write our adventures, we usually have sort of this prelude that happens, that sets up the scenes, and then they usually gear up before they start on the adventure, but they kind of have an idea of, or they think they have. they think they have an idea of where they're going. And so you'll see people go, well, I know we're going to be heading into the mountains and it's probably snowy. We might want some kind of magic for this, or whatever, and so you can do that. You can choose kind of according to what you think the adventure is going to be.
Yeah.
Doesn't always work.
No, I can imagine so. I've also seen something very nice on this character sheet that we have not talked about yet. Traits.
Okay.
Traits. Yes. What are traits?
Okay, so traits are just simple descriptions, and actually, there's a game that's gotten a lot of heavy traction lately. Legends in the Mist. That's been a big, huge, juggernaut thing that they're rolling out. Traits have been around a long, long time, and I first gravitated to traits from ICRPG. Basically, they call them tags. But basically, you're describing your character. So, he's overweight but fast, or whatever it might be. Traits can also describe things like swords. Maybe it's a rusty sword, or it's super sharp, or super dull, that kind of thing. And so those traits will factor into the DM's decisions on, again, especially if you end up with a percentage kind of thing, where it's like, well, they are nimble, but they're also kind of dumb. You know what I mean? It's like, or they're fast but klutzy. That you kind of can factor those in based on traits. So they're just,
so it could be their stalwart or their so it's that sort of thing. That's nice.
Exactly. And there's I know most DMs reward people for playing in character, for holding true to their character. And that's the case with us too. So if you're like, well, if you say your guy is not that bright, or that they're impulsive, well, then be impulsive, otherwise, why'd you write it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I also noticed there's nothing like movement and stuff on there. So I take it this is very story driven. It's kind of common sense approach to, someone says, I want to run across this field, leap at this goblin while swinging over a rope. The DM can go, well, actually, you can get like halfway down the field before your turn's over. Yeah,
exactly. We're not into getting a ruler out, and that kind of thing. Yeah, the just looking at the motion move. Yeah, so there's no measuring. Distance beyond a few short paces and up to 5-second jog is considered a move. Jumping, climbing, sliding, etc. are all considered moves. Most of us have a pretty good idea of what constitutes a move. When in doubt, ask your DM.
No, that makes sense to me. I did want to ask a little something on gear, actually. Because while Dean was asking you lots of questions, I had a quick read of the rules in the background, because I do stuff like that sometimes. And the fact is, it's really impressive. It's all available on the website. So that will be in the description for all of you guys when you want to take a look. So all of the information relating to Alloyed RPG will be within the description of the YouTube. And don't forget, if you're liking this content, please like and subscribe. It helps us, and it helps us get the word out about all of these fantastic indie games that are out there. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to check out Alloyed RPG on their website. Loads and loads of stuff available there. And by the looks of it, just available to download, unless I've read your website incorrectly. It's very exciting, actually.
Yeah, so that's one of the commitments that we made as a writing team, that we wanted to make everything that we produce available for free. In regards to, anything that's like PDF, we are starting to shift over to the Drive-Thru RPG platform. But anything there, like, probably we will have there'll probably be a watermarked PDF, but it'll be the entire thing of any publication we do, you can get for free. But then if you need, if you like me, I like old school print volumes. Of course, there's there's a physical cost to that. So we have to charge for that. But all the content that we come up with, adventure campaigns, all of it is going to be released for free. That was our commitment from the start. So we just want to have people playing and enjoy it.
I'm just going to show your website off just for a second before I get back to my question on gear. Yeah, so you can see it here, guys. So this is it. It's a beautiful little website, and you've got, this is the home, and then you've got this lovely thing called resources, where you've got all of the information, so you can give it a go. Why not?
Yep.
Why not go pick it up and roll some of those dice?
Absolutely.
But going back to my question, because it's all about me. me. My question was, I looked at your gear and I'm like, they're going, well, if I've only got 10 slots, what about my tent? What about my backpack? What about stuff like this? Does that all count against my 10 slots?
So if you pick it out of the gear list, yes.
This is someone who, when we were playing second edition, had her like 3 pages of character sheets and then another 5 pages of gear.
Yes, I just basically went, I had like stuff on stuff. I looked like one of the Sherpas.
I know.
Several horses just,
have you ever gone backpacking? It's kind of a pain in the butt. Like,
yes, but some things I might need something. So the kitchen sink's on the back of my pack horse back there. I got the kitchen sink as well as the cauldron. And don't forget, I need my blankets because I can't get cold.
That's right. No, if you have a pack horse, they'll have a certain amount of gear slots usually that you'll do. Usually the pack horses are put into the adventure, but if it's just you got to carry it. That's how it works. And you can only carry 10. So if you want to, if you want to be the big wild wizard with 10 magic and running around in your boxers, go for it.
Yeah, the thought of me running around in my boxers, no, there definitely needs to be at least a robe, and I'd need a tent, and I would need a backpack, and I'd need a blanket.
Yes.
So
what it does is it makes everybody have to work as a party, because it's not just the individuals. So it's like, well, I already have a pickaxe. Don't waste one of your slots with it, or whatever kind of thing. So it starts building in that idea of teamwork pretty quickly.
Yeah, I could see you had your ball bearings and you had your caltrops and all of those interesting things that I quite like having on my character. And then I started having palpitations at the 10 slots I had, which is why I wanted to ask the question, because I'm like, well, I've got my backpack and I've got this and I've got that. And if I want those and I want this.
And if you find something interesting along the way, now sometimes we'll put things where it says doesn't take up a gear slot. There's one, I don't want to do a whole lot of spoilers. There's one adventure campaign where we give out.
Don't do spoilers, because people might want to play.
Yeah. There are things that seem like a burden at first, but you get rewarded at the end for carrying it.
So say for example, you could rig something with 2 poles and you put it between, 2 characters, and you were carrying stuff around, and then you could just put it down if something was to happen. Would you allow stuff like that, Mr. DM?
I would allow it, and more than likely somebody would steal it. Well, I mean, or it would certainly burden you, like your reaction time if somebody decides to jump out of the woods at you or whatever is significantly reduced because you've got this pole that you got to deal with.
It's okay, because I would be the mage, and I would be convincing the dear meat shields to be carrying stuff because they're stronger than me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice. Well, talking of that,
it's a good game after all.
Yes. It is a group. It's me and my pack. They double up as meat shields.
So I used to work with a surgeon. He was super funny. He said this always in jest, but he would say, "Enough about me, though. I want to know what you think about me.
Oh, yes, I did have a
Oh.
surgeon once say, yes, as we were being wheeled down, I was only a kid, and the nurse put something on my wrist, and he put something on my leg, and I said, oh, why are you putting on my leg and my wrist? He goes, oh, just in case I slip. I'm like, pardon? He goes, only joking. It's like, I'm like 7.
Yep, it's that twisted OR humor. Yep.
Yeah, just make me laugh though, so that was good fun. But yes, I think we've gone through the gear and stuff quite nice.
We got your favorite though.
We have
kind of segued into it.
I did,
we covered a little bit, but I'm going to let you cover it.
Okay.
Oh, my favorite stuff, spellcasting.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. I love playing spellcasters.
Okay.
I will play fighters and stuff like that, but I absolutely love playing spellcasters.
Okay.
So could you tell me how spellcasting works?
Yes.
You know, how I can work out which spells I can have, how I cast them, how many I can cast, how many things I can blow up, you know, all the good stuff.
Yeah, I see. Okay, so if you go to that page again, that's going to have the rules, or go to the resource page. It's going to be under the core rules, and it will be around page 25.
Look at that, we've got page numbers, guys. 25.
Looking at my, I've got the physical copy, which I need to send you guys a copy.
Oh, that is. Hang on a second. Just hold it up for everybody to see, because it is beautiful. Look at that. Oh, not that close.
Oh, there we go.
That is perfect.
This has the proof copy band on it, but yes, it's
that's nice.
Yeah. Oh, it looks lovely.
That does look good.
So, but yeah, so about page 25. It would help if you are able to put that on the screen, because you can see what magic looks like.
Do you want me to share it? I got it on my screen.
Oh, you've already brought it up, have you? I've got it on my other screen. Were you just being all enthusiastic?
Yeah. I'm being very enthusiastic.
There you go.
Okay.
Let me just zoom in a bit on that.
I was thinking mine's very much more zoomed in than yours.
Yeah. So remember,
I'm blind as a bat.
Yeah. So they're in alphabetical order. You're going to have three. You can have up to 3 magic as a brand new character. And then every adventure after that, you can add 3 more until you max out at 10. So
when I say I can have 3 magic, do I actually have to choose one of these? Choose these. So I would basically say choose appropriation or Babylon. Right. Quite like that one.
Yeah.
Keep scrolling.
Yeah. And so you'll see how they are arranged. So just pick one and we'll kind of talk about it a little bit. What are you laughing at? Which one?
Clone.
Yeah.
No, I have bad memories of clones. No, in 2nd edition.
Not clowns. Not clowns.
No, clones.
Clones.
Yes. No. We won't go there.
Yes. Somebody made my character go mad by having a clone on the same plane as me. Yes. After he cut my hand off. Really mean. You don't like clones. No. Could you please go through Big Fat Fist?
Big Fat Fist. That's one of my favorite ones. Okay. So I'm looking on the screen here. Actually, I'm just going to pull it on my book, because when you get to be a certain age and you start wearing bifocals, there you go.
Yes, Dean has them too.
Progressive. So you'll see me going like this. Put it in the other room. All right. Big Fat Fist. A giant disembodied fist punches the target in the face, dealing supreme damage. If the target HP drops to 0, the target is knocked unconscious for 2 rounds. After 2 rounds, the HP is restored to its original level prior to cast. So basically what the Big Fat Fist does is it knockout punches them, but it doesn't kill them. So it doesn't permanently take away their HP. So if you get them to 0 and they end up to be unconscious for 2 rounds, then everybody else can basically inflict whatever on them, if that makes sense.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So say for example, I was using Big Fat Fist at the beginning of, say, the combat, and they were nowhere near 0. Does it still inflict that supreme damage, and therefore whittle their hit points?
Yes.
Or is it? Yeah. So basically, you're still doing damage. You're bringing them closer to 0, but once you take them to 0, then they're basically knocked out.
Yes. Yes. So
I've got a question. we got our orc. The orc gets hit by Big Fat Fist, and it takes him from like 20 hit points. It was a good roll, but he's got 2 hit points left. I now come in with my longsword and hit him hard with my longsword, dropping him to 0.
Yep.
Does the orc die, or is it knocked unconscious?
So what it would do is it would actually not die. Like let's say that thing had 20 HP. Okay, to start.
Yeah.
Okay, and so the Big Fat Fist took him down to 2, and then you hit him with the sword, and it goes to, let's say you inflicted 8 damage or something like that. Okay, so he'd be basically the 8 from you is actual HP.
Actual damage.
That's actual HP. Okay. So that's what I would subtract off the orc from his actual HP, but he is now unconscious for 2 rounds.
Cool.
So
and then at the end of the 2 rounds,
you can do with it whatever you will. It can't defend itself. It's an automatic hit. It's not going to be. There wouldn't even be a target roll. It's just damage. You know.
Yeah. So it is almost as if it's got a separate subdual track, but you don't have to make all of the damage to be subdual in order to knock them unconscious.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a fun one.
Yeah, it's a simpler way of doing. I mean, 3.5 had it where subdual damage counted up, actual damage counted down, and when the 2 crossed over, the target would be knocked unconscious. But that was a very clunky mechanical way. This is very much it's a maths light way of doing it that relies a lot on common sense. So it gets my seal of approval.
Thanks. Well, this is where the board game mechanics kind of came into play on things like that.
Yeah.
So tell me about Babylon, because that one's quite an interesting one.
Babylon. Let's see. I got to look this up myself. So, Babylon.
I'll read it out to you. Rolls against the highest spirit.
Yes.
Confuses hostile targets' language. They cannot communicate with each other. Lasts 3 rounds. Good for 2 casts.
Yep. There you go. Okay. So if you were in a group of hostiles, and you wanted to cast Babylon, you would cast that against whoever in that group had the highest spirit. And if it was successful, then it confuses their language. They can't communicate. And they can't communicate for 3 rounds. So they're all confused for 3 rounds. So as a DM, I would look at that, and that would then factor into a lot of things. You know, it depends on what they're confused about, what they can't communicate about. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. But don't you
sorry. I was
scrolling.
having a look at the artwork, so I will leave it there.
Sure.
So that makes sense to me. The lasting for three rounds. That all seems really good. What does good for 2 casts mean?
Okay, so if you go to that character sheet, you're going to see there's cast slots. So that means that particular magic. Can we see that? Okay.
Yeah.
So that particular magic, you can only cast it twice, and then it's done.
Okay. So when you say it's only twice and it's done, when can I cast it again?
That will depend usually on the adventure and the DM. So again, when we write our adventures, a lot of times when people will rest up, there'll be places where they'll either gain HP or they'll regain their magic casts, that kind of thing, but not always. So sometimes that's it for the adventure. And so then everything will reset at the next one shot that you do. But sometimes, if you used it up, you might not have it for the rest of the adventure.
So, sorry.
But
did you just say I wouldn't be able to cast for the rest of the adventure? I'm sort of having palpitations here as a spellcaster.
That's correct. That's correct. But these, again, when you see what the one shots are like, they're usually a 3 to 4 hour adventure.
Yeah.
It usually ends up that people kind of use everything, but they just make it there. You know what I mean? Like that's really part of the skill of the writing team as we do these adventures, so that they're a fun time at the table for 3 to 4 hours, and everybody feels like, man, we accomplished what we needed to, but just barely, or we didn't quite. It's that, where there's not a tremendous amount of surplus either way. So usually those magic slots are weighted in such a way, like when you see good for 2 casts, lasts for X rounds, that kind of thing. Those have been vetted and weighted so that they're not insanely powerful or ineffective either way. So
that's good. And I noticed that you have the staple.
The staple.
Fireball. The staple spell. Yeah. All spellcasters have fireball.
Hang on. Gonna find it. Excuse the flicking. There we go.
You gotta have fireball.
You've got to have fireball
alongside. Nice.
Awesome.
That's earthquake, actually. That's earthquake. But yeah, fireball.
I couldn't not have fireball. Yeah, but we tailored it, of course, to our mechanics.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So good for 2 casts. Now here's one that you're not going to like, of course, because all magic is cast against a target of 10, plus whatever then the modifier of your spirit is against their spirit. So that is magic. So if it's a dud, check it off the box, and there you go.
So is there anything stopping me as a caster having my staff, and every opportunity I get, I just take another fireball, eventually being able to cast 20 times?
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah. So all my item slots, fireball.
Yeah. You can do that.
And running around in your boxer shorts.
And running around in my boxer shorts.
Exactly.
Well, because it's so hot with all those fireballs.
Yeah, except that if you go through a portal and you end up on a frozen mountain, you're not going to have fun.
No. You got enough fireballs.
Enough fire.
Fire. You'll be surprised at how you can make fireball the solution to everything.
Yeah, but you can double up on them if you want.
Brilliant. Okay.
And I've noticed, because I've now just run through the spells you've got, that you have got healing spells, and you've also got teleport spells, but it's all line of sight, so you can't just jump from one city to another.
Because
by the looks of it, it's so you can move instantaneously. You can't go and be an Uber for the party and take them all with you.
Correct. There are some things that can do sort of that. So part of the there are a few things that will affect the whole party, but in general, the magic tends to be more individual. But there are a few in there that will affect the whole party. But as far as like bouncing from one place to another, that gets into where we would talk about our world building and portals and things like that we have in there. So, yep.
That's lovely. So yes, so you've got, so you can't just jump from city to city with just your teleport spells, even though you've got stuff within your world building. And I've got as many spells as I've learnt, but I start off with 3 at the beginning of the game. Is that right?
Correct. For a brand new character. So if your
brand new character.
Yeah, so if your character survives their first adventure, then you can
get
add
more
on the beginning of the next.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, because you haven't got class, and because you haven't got, at least I can't see with my real quick flick, there's no leveling.
Nope.
So therefore, you haven't got, the whole repertoire of spells you've got are at your disposal. You can choose whatever you want.
Yep.
So you could actually be a wizard with healing.
Yep.
I won't be doing that. They can heal themselves.
Yeah, so you can do that, and there's also in the magic, you'll see some of them that have an asterisk beside it.
Yeah.
Those are, I'm going to let people be exercise their minds. They can be used as healing if you're creative in how you use them. So, for example, even though it's not just straight healing, so immortality, for example, you're able to drop below 0 HP and continue to function as normal without dying. Once the immediate encounter is finished, you will die unless you are healed. Okay, so that sort of is a pseudo healing.
40-16. There we go. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another one, dispossess, number 28. Cast the soul of one creature into the body of another within sight. So let's say one of your party members is almost dying, and there happens to be a cat nearby. Sorry,
so
Fred.
Basically, you could keep their soul safe.
Yeah, I'm casting you into the cat, and we'll heal you when we get back. Like that kind of thing. So
I've got a great idea there, where you got the wizard with dispossess, you got the fighter who keeps upgrading his body, gets close to death, and then the dispossess swaps the big bad spirit into the fighter's body who's about to die, and the fighter takes over this big bad's body.
Yes, exactly. So but you have to be clever about it, like you just were. And that's
exactly. And then you kill the fighter, and you hope the spell succeeded as you go killing the fight. I mean,
correct. One of my favorites, but it's kind of the Hail Mary pass, is number 75. That is one that we've had to use it once, but it works.
You and your party are immediately teleported back to the beginning of the session with hit points and gear restored to their starting values. Anything gained along the session is now lost. Ooh, that's like a we've messed up. Reset.
Reverse DPK.
Yeah.
You've gone back to a save point.
Yeah, but so you would just need to roll a 10 on that one.
Yeah,
because there's no target or anything, so you can't take the target's spirit into account.
Correct.
It would just be a 10. But if you mess up that 10, you got one other chance, so long as you're still alive. And if you mess that one up as well, then that's it.
That's it. Yeah. That is like I said, that is the last ditch.
Yeah, it's one of your item slots. You're going in preparing to fail.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
So depending on who's round the table depends on whether you take it.
Yeah.
Is she playing Dark Souls with a save point?
Yeah. That would be for people that, we actually do have characters that have lasted for several adventures that we kind of do care about. And I don't really want to lose it this week. So so there's all kinds of fun stuff like that.
Fantastic. And to answer one of our questions, you've obviously got resurrection, but it's extremely limited, as in the turn after or the round after the party member dies.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Like you can't just if they're if they've been dead for a while, you can't. It's an immediate kind of thing. Yeah.
But of course.
Sorry.
So of course, because you've got resurrection and you're doing it the round after, if the big bad is still alive, they could kill him again.
Oh yeah, welcome to
So
2E.
Yeah.
yeah, so basically you're getting killed. Then you get +5 hit points.
Yep.
Which means you're still really low, and then the big bad can just come and stomp on you. And then if you're lucky, because the mage might have another resurrection slot, you can be brought back again. But then if you get stomped on again, you are toast.
Pretty much, you're toast. And but that's okay. That's not bad, because this game was developed by board game designers. So one of the things that makes board games good is that you're never out of the game until the game is over, like really over for everybody at the table. So there are in the rule book, this is more not rules so much as like DM tips, so to speak. It's going to be, let me see here. I'm trying to think what page. These are going to be page 18 on the general rules. There's a bunch of DM tips, but this one has to do with death and ghosts. So page 18. Scroll backwards. Yeah, there we go. One more page earlier page.
Earlier. There we go.
Yeah, I think so.
Good news, bad news, or is it up?
No. Okay, one more. Sorry, go one more.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's it. So this is kind of like if someone dies, some creative ways that you can keep them in the game playing for that session, so they're not just sitting around waiting for, maybe they carpooled together and oh great, now I got to sit around here for the next hour and a half until my buddy is done. So there are different just tricks that different DMs have used, and so those aren't necessarily rules, but that you can bring somebody back. So for example, the ghostly influence, you can give a player 1d20 points that they can spend as they wish to add to the other players through the session. So they're playing with their party as a ghost that can kind of aid them along with the points that they have. Things like that. There's if you scroll up a little bit, you can have a dead player play some NPCs or monsters. You can, of course, always have a backup plan, but there's also the miracle, which actually that surprisingly works. So you allow all the players at the table to roll 1d20. If any natural 20s are rolled, the dead character is restored to full HP. Because it's a miracle. But you can also, this is my medical background coming in, you may also have one other character use an action to perform CPR. And if successful on a 10% roll, they get 2 HP added. Because 10% is the success rate of CPR in the real world. So there you go.
Wow. Yeah. It's a lot higher on TV, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. That's a lot higher on TV. Yeah, so there's just
I like that.
But because at the end of it, you really want people to just have fun. And these are one of the things we did in creating this game. And again, most of us are of my age. We have fairly busy lives, and it's very hard to get people together, especially in person, because that's how we like to do it. We like to get together, have some pizza, enjoy each other's company and throw some dice and tell a good story for, 3 to 4 hours. But to get that to happen week after week or even every other week is nearly impossible, at least in the circles in which I run. And so we wanted to make it so that, how can we create a TTRPG that doesn't rely on, well, Bob can't make it tonight, so I guess we can't play because that's a crucial piece, that kind of thing. you can just get together and do these one-shots that can be strung together as a longer campaign, but that anybody can pop in and out of as their schedule allows them to, you know. And when
that's a
they're
nice
there,
ethos.
yeah. So when they're there, you want them to have time. You get killed right away. You know, you want to still make it so that they can play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
It's a
lovely.
game, and games are supposed to be fun. So, you know.
You are absolutely right. They are supposed to be fun. I think I've gone through all my spellcasting.
Yep, that's been pretty good.
Oh, last thing, divinations. Have you got divinations?
Okay. Gotta look. I gotta look all this stuff up. So
I couldn't see any with my little squiz.
Yeah, I don't think I have that.
I think the closest you've got is where you actually can rewind time so that you can go back X number of sessions rather than divinations.
Yeah, so rewind.
Sorry, I've just seen Shrink.
So yeah, Shrink.
Oh, isn't that cool?
Yeah. So Shrink,
rewind. Yeah,
Shrink, rewind. Like I said, they're all kind of fun. We tried to really think about it so that it was sort of like, because we treat it like gear, we wanted it to be like, oh, okay, I really want to do that, but if I do that, it takes up a space. Maybe you could do that. You know, if you do this one, I'll do this one, kind of thing. You know, and that's usually what happens at the table. So it's kind of fun.
That's cool, because it means, because you've not got classes, that anybody can take a bit of magic.
Right. Yes. We also wanted to make it too, so that maybe that was one of the other things that I was a little disillusioned with like 5e and things, is that we wanted, like, a magic user shouldn't be any more powerful than a ranger. It's starting out, you know what I mean? Like, they just shouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, if your party are all a bunch of new characters, they should all be new characters at kind of low. And it just seemed like, you know, and everybody wants, who doesn't want to dabble in a little magic too, you know what I mean? Like, so even if
you always want to be a magic user.
Yeah. Now that said, you know, because the magic is not inherent. Oh, that's another good thing. So because we'll hang out on magic for just a second. So the way it works on the natural 20s, so that mastery level, that, you know, if you roll a nat 20, one of the things you can do if you get to 3 is you can make one of your magic from your staff a permanent ability for you.
Oh,
so
and that's one of the three you got on the character sheet.
Yes, and so there are 3 slots for that, so you can do that, and so that it frees a slot, and now that's actually part of your abilities. Like bottom, I mean in the middle, right there, magic natural ability.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that happens if you gain 3 mastery. You can say, okay, I really want fireball all the time. So
you can get up to 13 fireballs.
Yeah. So you can do that up to 3 times. So that's pretty
nice.
Cool. So like I said, it's made for your character to progress, but not in a crazy kind of way, and eventually, you know, you're to age out and die is going to take you probably about, if all of your rolls at the end of where you're given more HP, like to your base as a reward for finishing the adventure kind of thing, if all of those were perfectly successful and all of your negatives as you scale down were perfectly successful, it would probably be about 25 adventures that you'd have to go through. So it still takes, you know, it's not, But I think
that's pretty cool.
I think that's enough. You know what I mean? Like, we're not creating
deities here.
There's never enough adventuring. We should all be adventuring all of the time because we love adventuring. No, I like the way you've done that. I really do.
Yeah, have a backup character in your back pocket, ready to go.
Pardon?
Have a backup character.
Pardon?
Just
no.
Anyway. So I think we've done magic. Yeah.
Yes.
The one thing I'd like to quickly pop into, because it's an interesting one, if I just go back to the core rules, magic items. There we go. Nice and simple.
Oh, yeah. Nice and
the
simple.
book of books, the cloak of cloaking. Yes, the fork of eating.
Yeah, that's a
and
fun
I take
one.
it this. Yeah.
Yep. So magic items, those are just examples. So those are we like to have fun with those. Those are little Easter eggs that you can throw in to a campaign. That's something that the DM can throw in. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be from that list. That's just an example. All of those are examples. But if you want to use those, you can, roll a d20 and pick one at random or something like that to throw in. But you can create your own. It's just, reason. Usually those are just fun things that we add that don't. It's just items. So and usually it doesn't take up a gear slot. So, but sometimes it might. Just depends.
All right. Don't always take up a gear slot. That's cool. I like that. So some rewards you're not having to be too prescriptive on.
I don't know whether I class them as rewards. A drawing pad that physically materializes whatever is drawn exactly as drawn. Now, if I get the DMs around this table, I can see them handing me a pen and a piece of paper and saying, draw it. And then that's what I'd get. And because I cannot draw for toffee, it would not be a good outcome.
Exactly.
And yes.
It's the child's picture on the refrigerator, and that's supposed to be a horse.
Yeah.
Yep, that's the one.
That's what you get.
It comes along.
Right.
Yeah. And the sponge of sponging, that you would not want to drop that. And whoops, I've just dropped it into a lake.
Correct.
You're left with fishes just flapping around.
But you might if you need to cross that lake.
Yeah.
You might if you want to cross the lake, but all of the surrounding villages that are relying on it for water, you may not like you very much.
Yeah, I'm big into consequences.
Mind you, I do think the eyeball of perception could come in handy.
Yeah, and like I said, those are all just examples. They're not canon, so to speak. It's just a way that people can be, have a little fun with it. Just we try not to take ourselves too seriously with it, like the pit of pitting.
I like
becomes a stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a definite humor running through this, and I think that's fantastic. I like it. So I think that's pretty much everything I've got covered before we move on to creatures.
Wow. Okay.
Creatures.
Yeah. Now we've talked a little bit, but creatures, I would imagine they got a defense score, hit points, and then what damage they can do or what ability they might have. Is it any more complicated than that?
Not too bad, but you can go to the resource page for the creature. And
I'll get it now, Dean.
Yeah, if you grab that one.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that we've done, now we've got an interesting thing that happened, a new development this year, which is really cool. We really like minis. That's what got a lot of us into the genre. I just started
board game people liking minis.
Oh no,
never.
What, meeples and stuff. Whatever. Whatever next.
I have one dice. It's okay. I don't need it. It's like the minis. So I got into it by painting minis, and I just really think there are a lot of cool minis out there that don't necessarily have a game behind them. So park that for just a second. But this year we had someone sign on. His name's Nate. and he's part of our writing team. But in the course of our conversation on onboarding him, discovered that he is a 3D sculptor, and so he is now creating minis for the system. For Allied RPG. So he's doing the STL files for those. So those will be available.
Cool.
Yeah, well, we're kind of doing a little bit of a reskinning kind of deal. But in conjunction with that, what you'll see in the creature compendium is that we actually we based our creatures on miniatures that are already available. So maybe that's not the best example on that one, the volcano crab, but there you go. Scroll down.
I just really like the volcano crab. It's cool.
Yeah. So these are all minis that you can buy. So if you look at the little box there, the stat box, it says Wasteland Elk. Okay. And then it'll say parentheses EM. So in the beginning of the creature compendium, there is a listing on the STL sculptors that make that mini.
Oh, brilliant. So, that's clever.
So EM stands for, if you go up to the beginning.
Yeah, I'm going up here.
There you go. Okay. Yep. There it is. There it is. Right in the middle of that. EM is, what does that say?
EM is Epic Miniatures.
Epic Miniatures. Yeah, you can buy that exact miniature from Epic Miniatures.
That's cool. You've got loads on there that you've gone through. So you've got Great Grimoire, you've got RN Studio, Titan Troll Miniatures. That's just cool. Yeah, so it'll say next to the miniature or next to the creature where you can get that, because then it's like you can play those at your table and it's not, well, it's like that. No, that is actually that. And there's where you can so we can basically put a little love back to those STL creators where, you know, they're just creating things they like, but that necessarily find a use at their table for, but they still like them. So now we've given them a purpose at the table. And so, and again, so hopefully we could push some customers their way and get them to discover these great STL creators. So I think that was absolutely superb.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's lovely. I think that's great.
Yeah. So you can look at the
stat blocks.
Yeah. Stat blocks are very simple. You see the body, mind, spirit, target, what kind of damage they do. They've got traits. They've got different abilities. And then now this is where we've been accused of metagaming, and I don't care. Actually, I'm okay with it. So if you look, we put motivation and weakness, because if somebody's going to put the time in to read or know about a creature, then it's okay that they know their motivation and their weakness, you know, because they've put a little time into study. So if at the table they say, well, you know, I'm gonna play toward that thing's weakness, well, good on you for reading. You know, good on you for knowing your creature compendium. You know, I'm okay with that. It doesn't mean they're going to be successful, you know, but you know, if you whatever, you know, if you know that a rhinoceros has a soft underbelly, use it to your advantage, right?
Or if you know these particular rat men, if you're going to have to go and sort of clean out a den of them, and you know they can't stand the strong, repulsive smell of peppermint, maybe all of your party's gonna prepare ready for this adventure and try and make sure that they've got
yeah. Or your DM might be kind and give a little description as you that sewer was a bunch of peppermint that was growing, just a little FYI.
Yeah.
You know. So
I like that, Reef Keeper.
So yeah, so there's just different creatures that we do, but like I said, they're based on minis because I was tired of trying to find like, well, I guess that's sort of close to what I was looking for. I was like, well, why don't we just reverse it, because there's a lot of great minis out there, and let's throw people their way. And so yeah, that's what we did. So
I think that's a great way of doing it, Steve.
Yeah.
It's really quite, it's unique as well, and it's quite exciting. And isn't that a nice way of actually sharing around? You know, we're all gamers. We all like things like miniatures, and it's great to see lists of people where you can potentially get miniatures from. So lovely. I like that.
yeah, well, it's that whole, again, it's a community of gamers, and it's been neat, because it's just nice to, like I said, just to give a little love back. I know most of us are not, we're not doing this for a career. We're doing this for the love of the game. These are labors of love, whether you're a mini designer, whether you're a game creator, and yeah, who doesn't want to eventually monetize or that kind of thing? But in the circles we run, that wasn't why we did the game. It was never about, oh, I want to, $3 million Kickstarter, and this is what I want to do for, this was all developed for us to have fun. And we're already putting the work into it, and we put so much love into the craft that it's, what brings you joy is to see other people at the table smiling, having a good time with something that you created. That is the reward. If sales or all that come, great, but that's not what it's about for us. So yeah, which is also why we put all that stuff for free, except for the print versions. So.
Cool. Dean, I actually think that you wanted to circle back around to some of the artwork because you were quite taken with some of the art in the core rules. I like the art in all of this, but you were highlighting some of the art there.
I was just highlighting. I thought it was quite striking. Do you have a resident artist who does the artwork?
We don't. So this is we do cartography commissions, but we do actually use Midjourney and things like that on some of them. And I know that that's one of those volatile subjects. That said, we do commission a lot of art, but for the stuff, especially because we do everything for free, we don't. We just don't have a budget like that to do it.
It costs thousands and thousands, so we completely understand.
Yeah, the artwork in this book would have probably, like I said, I commission a lot of art. I've commissioned tens of thousands of dollars worth of art for my business and for other books and things that we've done. And again, something like this would have probably be about $30,000 worth of artwork. It's just not, we don't, we're a Kickstarter thing. We're not doing any kind of, like I said, all of our content is available for free. So that makes monetization impossible. If somebody wants to donate art, that's awesome. We'll take it.
Oh, absolutely. And do you know what? You're going to get no judgment from us. I know it's got a bit of a bad rep on the internet, but only from a few people. I think most people they'll understand the pressure. They'll understand the financial pressure that you have in doing something like this.
For sure.
And it's. I just thought even though it's created using AI, I thought it was actually quite striking. I did like it. It was quite different from the usual.
Yeah. And I hate to say it, but it takes time to learn how to wrestle these engines as well. So, all of this takes times and efforts, and Dean's going to just switch to something else I'm sharing now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So our thing is writing, I mean, our team is writers, and so that's the fun, creative part for us, is to be able to get people into a good story. So I hate to say it this way on the art, but it's it's about the story, and the art supports the story. And somewhere, I think somewhere when things became so monetized is when that kind of almost flipped. If you look back at some of the modules that we played, and look at the artwork on some of those. If you the art,
it's not
Oh,
good.
it was we jokingly say it's like if you've ever seen Napoleon Dynamite, that movie Napoleon
No.
Dynamite. Okay, well, he draws this liger, which is a cross between a tiger and a lion. It's the classic like bad art doodle thing. Like, look at that, like
yeah.
what those modules were like. And then
Yeah.
somewhere along the line, I think because art sells, stuff is when that started maybe overtaking the story. Yeah, it was. Yeah. So anyway, we're all about the story, in particular, crafting something that everyone at the table has a hand in telling together. That's really,
Yeah, I like
really
that.
cool. And so what we look at the campaigns and the adventures as is like the framework that gets out of the way to allow the players to the magic. That's the skill in the writing, and that's where we need to spend our time for our team. Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to highlight on the website, everything here is available for you guys. Okay, so it's alloydrpg.com, and just pop to resources. You can see it all there. Obviously, there's the store there as well if you fancy a nice hardback book. Quite sure we all like to have them on our shelves. And as you mentioned, you've got a reasonable little team that are all working together. You're all hobbyists that have come together to write. So I just thought I'd briefly show this.
Yep.
There you are, Steve.
There am I. Yes.
Look at that.
My little desk.
Yes. And you can see there the different people who have created your different adventure modules and what they're doing, which I think is lovely. And I just wanted to highlight that.
Although Jeremy looks like an imposter, he's way too young to be in that team.
Yes.
Oh, bless.
Yes. Jeremy and his dad Drew, actually, they worked on the continent of Arashel. So, yes. Yep.
Oh, that's just great.
And that
stop sharing now.
Yeah, the website has, the whole mythos is on there and everything like that. That's the world building is fun. That to us is really fun. And
yeah, I really enjoy world building. It's one of the things that I thoroughly enjoy. So I can see that you've got quite a fair bit on your website. So do you want to give us an overview of your setting?
Yeah, so the world is called Catharsis, and it has 4 continents. There is New Hinterland, there is Thura, Arashel, and Oceania, and they all have very different flavors. And so New Hinterland would be kind of more like temperate US, Europe, that kind of thing. Thura is sort of the wild wastelands. There's actually a part on Thura that runs off the map, and that's where a lot of bad things come out of Thura, out of the dark lands of Thura. So that's got kind of that flavor to it. And then Oceania is very island kind of thing. So that's where you're going to run into your seafarers and pirates and, island life. Yeah, exactly. And then Arashel is the weirdest one. And that's consisting of floating islands. And you can see the map. There's maps under the mythos there section that have all of those continent maps. But Arashel is a bunch of floating islands centered around a volcano. And Arashel is full of political intrigue, and we're not talking politics on this podcast, but in the world of Catharsis, that's where there are these different groups of people kind of vying for advantage and power, and just different things that each floating island has its own sort of group that has their certain bend. And so that's where people that are into campaigns about a lot of thinky stuff and political intrigue, that's where that comes out. Now the twist on Arashel is that there is a heavy mist that is so thick that monsters from the ocean will swim up through the mist and grab people off of islands from time to time, off the floating islands.
So you've got politics and you've got creatures that'll come and grab people.
Right.
Well, I suppose there's an easy way of sorting out any politicians that misbehave.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. And so but the way that the world building took place, so Catharsis goes through every about 1,000 years, it goes through what's called a scouring, which is essentially like a magnetic reversal, and it kind of destroys and reshapes the planet. And in that, there are portals that are created. And there are always 4 like major portals along kind of the axes of the planet, but all these other stable and unstable portals are created, and that's what we use to pop people back and forth into different places in the campaign. So in this iteration of Catharsis, and if it goes through another scouring, it'll probably be named something else. But in the world of Catharsis, there are 4 major portals, one on each of the continents that grew up around it, and then several smaller ones throughout the world. And so that's a good way to kind of get people where you want them to go without doing travel time, because again, these are based on one-shots, so that usually they have to go somewhere, do something, whatever, but we don't want to spend all the time doing travel. So if that makes sense.
No, I suppose it also brings in a little bit of political intrigue, because whoever controls the portals and stuff like this, so you've got that across your different areas. So I quite like that. That's really quite exciting.
So if there's the whole mythos is on the website, but there was something called the Great Chaos and the 7 Years War, and there's sort of a super villain that was created. His name's Dragwitch the Usurper, and the short of it is that the Dark Mages in New Hinterland tried to create this being so that they would win control, and it ended up that he usurped and got out of hand, and so everyone on the planet of Catharsis had to pull together, and they finally banished him, and he is incarcerated under a volcano off of New Hinterland for 1,000 years. And that's but there are still his his minions here and there, and the Dark Mages, because they created him, are kind of always viewed with suspicion in anything. So but we call them the 4 pillars of Catharsis. You have your free folk, your Dark Mages. There are, let me look through this here. It's been a little bit since I've gone through. But the lore is really, really cool. It's just fun, and what it does is it doesn't box us into corners. So here we go, the 4 pillars: magic, nature, sovereignty, and science. And so those sort of are always in tension together, and play into different parts of the campaigns and storylines. And so what's interesting is with our writing team, we've got people that, like, I created the base for New Hinterland. So I'm kind of the architect of New Hinterland. And then Drew and Jeremy created Arashel. So they're the architects of Arashel. So like when we get new writers on, that's another thing that, I hope maybe if somebody in the audience is listening, we're always looking for writers. It's not a paid thing, but here's what happens. If you write an adventure campaign, and put the time in to do that, me as the editor, what I'll do is I'll go through the entire formatting process and actually get it to published. You'll have your own Drive-Thru RPG account and everything like that, and we'll put the link to it. Like, we don't touch any of the proceeds, so you'll actually have your own book in print with your name on it. You get all any kind of sales from it, whatever. We're just happy that people would write an adventure for us, and I'll put in all that. And I'll put in all that editing work. Like, that's the not fun stuff for most people. Is like, I wrote this campaign, it's all in a Word document, and then making it into like an actual thing with the artwork and all that, and the layout is like gobs and gobs and gobs of slogging time. I'll do that.
Yeah, we found that, haven't we, Dean?
Yes, we
we've
have.
been there ourselves recently. So we've just finished editing our book. So absolutely understand how long it takes to do the actual editing and layout. It's never easy.
Yeah, that's not the most fun part of it. And so so we've got people that will write for us, and so we'll get it across the line to where it's published, and then just put the link on the website to it and try to drive people their way. But they'll get all any kind of royalties from it. We don't touch any of that, so that's all done separate. So I say that because what'll happen is, usually if they're like really like the mythos and the lore of Arashel, and I will do this cool thing with intrigue and blah 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 blah, we will get them in contact with the architect of Arashel, so that the storylines remain cohesive within the world.
Good.
So they'll kind of bounce that off. Like, I had this idea, what do you think? Well, that's great, but remember that this is happening in the background. Okay, yeah, good idea, that kind of thing. So that way it kind of maintains a consistency in the writing, even with like the fan fiction people that will come in and do modules for us and things like that.
Great. That is absolutely great. In fact, I'm pretty sure I saw it in your rules. You've got the open gaming license there, haven't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it's really, really open. Like to me, we're just thrilled. Like, all right, I'm glad you're having fun with the game, and any more content we can get out there, awesome. We don't have to micromanage or control it, and we don't need any money from it. Because again, if we were making our living off of this, I would be a lot skinnier.
I've just popped that on the screen just to show everybody. If you are interested in writing for Alloyed RPG, look at that. Really straightforward open game license. So if you are interested in what you've seen here today, then go over to their website, have a chat to them, and maybe you could be one of Alloyed RPG's next writers. You never know. And I think that's lovely, because I like the phrase, we only ask that you give credit where credit is due. Because yes, as long as they're sort of saying, look, it's this for Alloyed RPG, and they're basically citing you so that people know where to get the main rules, then why not? And I think that's wonderful. And I think it's a great way of supporting the community. So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Yeah.
It's lovely to see that.
Yeah, it's just, it's a neat community, and we really like to, many of us on the team we're writers. Like, I'm an author. I publish a lot of books and things, and some of the other guys are writers, like really writers as well. And one of the things that's been neat is us working a little bit with schools, and trying to get, in particular, like, English teachers, things like that, to allow some of their students to write for class credit. Where you've got
good.
And we mentor them because we're writers, and so that's an actual real thing, to write with the intent of getting something published and actually across the line into a product that people can read. That's all part of the process too. And so we've done that with a couple of kids, so far, and it's been really, really cool because it really helps them develop their writing skills, and not just for themselves, but like, how do you write for the public to
Yeah.
read it?
It is. It's
Adam.
an art form, isn't it? It is
Mhm.
definitely an art form. I think
Yeah.
that's absolutely fantastic. And I love all your different areas that you've got within your world. And I do think that what you said earlier was right. And we might need to do a follow on just to go through the settings. Because when you look at how much information is there, I've taken a quick look. I think that would be fantastic as a follow on if you would like to join us again. But I do think that we've come to a natural end if we're going to do a deep dive into your settings.
Yeah,
So
I think
with that, I am going to do a wind up and sort of say, look, I love the look of this game. I think it's fantastic. It gives people a real chance to have something they can pick up, play. They can start playing it right now with all of the resources you have on your website. And then if they really like it, they can go get that beautiful book to pop on their shelves. So, Steve, thank you so much for joining Dean and I today for our Indie Game Spotlight. I look forward to speaking to you again soon. And with that, we're going to say good night. Say good night, Dean.
Good night, Dean.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.